something different for the bus today. I'm going to take a look at this, which at first might seem a little silly. See this steering wheel? And this is nice shape, no rot, looks great. I'm going to replace it. And you might be thinking, you have a perfectly good steering wheel there. Why would you replace it? And what are you going to replace it with? Well, I have a new old stock, very fancy steering wheel. This one, I got it from, where did I get this from? Rock Auto, is that what it's called? I think so. And yeah, it's never been used, brand new. And the difference is it has these little buttons on the side. And it seems that when this series of vehicles was made, they made them so that your accelerator, well, it doesn't actually connect directly to the engine. When you step on your accelerator, it tells a computer that you want to go faster, and the computer controls the throttle body on the engine. The computer also understands how fast you're going from the sensors in the anti-lock brakes. You tie all that together and you get cruise control. Now I've heard, and I hope this is right, internets, that with a little bit of adjustment here, which is basically take this steering wheel off, put this one on, you get cruise control for nothing extra, nothing beyond that. So that's what we're going to shoot for today. And we're going to go through some steps so that I think it'll be safe to do, because this is an airbag. But we'll take our time and we'll get this thing taken care of, and I'll take you along. Hopefully we'll have cruise control right out of the gate. And when I eventually put a new radio into the rig, and I have an Android head unit, it's kind of like a giant cell phone tablet thing, I'm going to put it into the bus. The volume controls and audio selector, all that stuff should start working as well. So let's get started by disconnecting the battery. Now we have to make sure that we get the battery disconnected so that there's less of a likelihood that the airbag is going to think it's in an accident and go off while we're trying to remove it from the steering wheel, because I'm going to have to pop it off the steering wheel. All right, I've disconnected the negative lead from the battery. Now what I want to do is to go in the bus, and try to turn some things on and make sure that I bleed off any stray electricity that might be in the system at all. So let's pick some things to try to turn on. How about the bus itself? Let's just see what happens. I still have power. I didn't expect to still have power. That's a thing. Let me double check the house battery. I wonder if it's pulling from the house battery. There's a big switch on the side that's supposed to disconnect the house battery, but it appears that even when that switch is off, it's still pulling from the house battery. Let's go check that. All right, let's check this house battery out. So this is going to be something that's different between a bus and a van. The vans probably won't have this. Here's my house battery. There we go. And I'm guessing that this house battery is in parallel with the truck battery. So I need to disconnect this guy in order to, get away from that battery, you ding dong. Let me get a wrench and I'll pop this off. And then we'll double check again to make sure we have no power. Key in, nothing. Okay, so now we have no power. Yep, no lights, no lights. Step on the brakes. No brake lights. Okay. All right. So we've discharged the electrical system. Now we should be able to take this off. Now, if you look real close, right here, there's a hole underneath the steering wheel, and there's a companion hole on the other side. And I'm going to bring you in a little closer so you can see those, all right? So here is a hole right there. And like I said, there's a companion hole on the other side. We're going to put either a screwdriver or an Allen wrench, something that'll fit in that little hole. And when we push in, it's going to push against a spring wire. That spring wire is actually hooked up to the rack mount that holds in this whole plate assembly that includes the airbag. And once that spring wire is pushed in, we should be able to dislodge one side and then the other. And once those are dislodged, we have to be very careful because there's a wire, a little ribbon cable that connects to the back of the airbag to the vehicle. All right, I've got this little, I think it's a 3mm Allen wrench. I'm going to put it in the side of the steering wheel here and try to find that wire. You know, when they do these on the YouTubes, it always looks like, oh yeah, you simply do this. Okay, I actually got that side. Oh. Is that it? Hey, look at that. I got it. Okay, so here's that connector I was telling you about. Let me show you what this looks like. All right, so here's the connector for the airbag right here. And you can see that it's got a funky little yellow doodad. I'm gonna work on that. On YouTube, they always say, oh, it's a standard airbag connector. Like everybody in the world knows what a standard airbag connector is. No. And then back here in the back, see this blue plug with one little wire coming out of it? That is a connector we're going to be hooking on to get all of our cruise control and audio controls. The new steering wheel has a whole lot more wires connected into the blue connector. And the only thing we have to remove to get the steering wheel itself out is this one nut. We don't remove anything else, just this one nut. And oh, by the way, see that little silver wire? That is what I was dislodging from the little hole on the side of the steering wheel to allow these brackets on the back of the airbag module to come out. So you can see a little notch there. They fit in and clamp with that wire. So when I push in, it pushed that wire sideways. All right, let's see if I can get this plug off of the back of the airbag without saying too many sailor words. I did some digging on the internet, found nothing, but I think I've got this. There's a little plastic locking clip right here. And that locking clip has to come off. It comes straight out. Just straight out like that. Now don't lose that. We're going to need that. Everybody watch where it landed so we don't lose it. Now that the locking clip is out, we should be able to push in on these yellow clips on the sides. There's some yellow release clips. Let's see if I can get those out. And boom, it pops right off. And there's our airbag module in all its glory. I'm going to set this aside very carefully. All right, I'm going to try to hold the camera, a work light, and point at something at the same time here. So back in here, here's the socket where that multi-pin connector goes. This is the old one from the old steering wheel that only has the 2 wires on it. And we're going to have a whole lot more wires than that. But I wanted to point out that there is a little tab. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little tab right there. You have to lift that up in order to pull the plug out of that socket. So it's basically, I had to slip a little flat-bladed screwdriver underneath that tab and then use a pair of needle nose to grab hold of this plug and pull it from the socket. But it's out now, so now it's time to get after the the nut right here on the steering wheel. I have a 21 millimeter impact driver and my impact wrench. Let's see here. And I'm going to try to remove this here nut. Easy peasy. Now, before I pull the nut completely off, in fact, I'm going to put it back down a little bit. I'm going to pull the steering wheel loose. Because if it comes flying off, I don't want it to hit me in the face. So I'll leave that nut on there a little bit. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I might have to speed up that part because that took a long time. All right, now take that nut off. Ta-da! And there it is. And here's our big nut. Who you calling a big nut? You're the big nut, you clown. Hang on a second. I'm missing. Where is the airbag wire? There it is. I need to feed that through here. There we go. By the way, there is a notch. There's a little notch in the top of the bolt that comes through the steering wheel, goes onto. And of course, everything has got little keys. And you can see an arrow here pointing at that notch. That lets you know that you're actually upright. You're centered there. So, boy, I hope you can see that little notch. It's not very big, but it shows you where the arrow should be pointing to, so you know that you've got the steering wheel correctly angled. So there's that part. Cool, huh? All right, so we've got the airbag wire out, and we've got this is the connector for all of those bajillion wires that are in there now. Instead of there just being a couple, there's a whole bunch. That's kind of cool. And now I'm going to put this nut back on here. And it's a nylon nut, so I don't think it has to be super tight. I mean, it doesn't have to be like ridiculously tight. Okay, that's good. It didn't have to work that hard to get it off. I think it's really counting on that nylon thread. Now, click. Perfect. All right, so then we got the airbag. So we have the plug that goes in here, and then we have this little safety lock that goes that way. So let's bring this guy up here. And yes, I still have the shipping foam on the steering wheel because it's cool. I don't want to mess it up. And then let's get this safety interlock back into place. Click. Perfect. All right, and then this should, if I line it up correctly, that's it. And we have a steering wheel that has all the buttons on it. It says don't drive with this on here. And it says don't use scissors. All right. So now the question is, if I hook the battery back up, is the airbag going to blow up? I'm going to go ahead and start with the secondary, the house battery here. Which house battery. Go back into your little shed. There we go. Now there it is. There it's right. So the door. All right, so where are we with this ding-dong steering wheel and what comes next? Well, let me see if I can summarize. The steering wheel is installed, and it feels great. It's a premium steering wheel, feels really good. And it works fine. It's nice and tight. Everything about it as far as being a steering wheel, it's great. The goal was that I was hoping that I could plug everything in and I would have magically achieved cruise control, and that did not happen. And I've looked on the internet. Of course, you look at 5 different places on the internet, you get 5 different answers. But the story is that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, there is a control module in the system of the vehicle that has to be reflashed, or at least had a configuration update, in order to understand that the cruise control capability now exists. That's fine. We're going to work on that. I may have a follow-up video, very short one, that talks about what steps had to be taken in order to enable the cruise control. I will make sure that I close the loop on that and let you know what happens. In the meantime, it's very cold. We've gotten down into the 20s and my shop is not heated. So I'm not spending quite as much time out here. I will have an update coming up. I'm going to be pulling out the framing around the windows on the side of the bus. I'm going to be pulling out the walls down low, which will be interesting because that's where I will encounter rivets for the first time, and I have a plan for that. Following those, the side panels are coming out and the ceiling's coming out. I'm going to gut the bus. We're going to clean it all out, and we'll talk later about replacing the windows, reskinning the walls, and spray foam is coming. So there's a lot of work that's going to be coming over the next couple of months. I hope you'll come back. And if you're doing a bus build, I hope yours goes even better than mine. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch up again soon.